I'm super duper pumped, so let's go into game one of semifinal two between Adelscott and mouz.MaNa.
Welcome to TeamSpeak, advanced voice communication software for any platform. TeamSpeak allows groups of people to communicate and share information with anyone, via the internet or through private networks. Using your Windows, Mac or Linux-based computer, all you need is a headset with microphone, and in minutes you can be chatting with others in real time, using our crystal clear voice technology.
Welcome back and back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here in the second semifinals, and I'm pretty pumped because it's two of my absolute favorite players in the universe. Adelscott from France and mouz.MaNa from Poland. Mana in the right position as that light, gentle, blue-colored Protoss on Metalopolis. And on the left, we have Adelscott as the, I guess I'd say, festive orange in the left. And it looks like some friendly trash talk where Mana is really bringing the noise and then putting out happy faces and hearts.
And Adelscott playing the humble card with the sad face and good luck, instantly ending it. And we can see here we're on Metalopolis, the opening map for the semifinal. Every TL Open, if you're familiar, tuning in week after week to watch. You would think this would mean a long game, but of course, Protoss able to warp in units magically through time and space, which really allows aggression, if anyone is familiar with foregating. So that this long rush distance may not end up being a factor here, as we see Adelscott putting down the 12 gateway. Going to be used as chrono boost, I would imagine, yes, to bring out more probes, and mouz.MaNa following suit.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of European players have become big fans of the 12 gateway style. A lot of the American players are still sticking to the, I guess, a little bit more typical, 14 gateway, 15 gas, or something like that. And Mana going to go ahead and throw his gas down. Adelscott looks like he's not quite doing it. Oh, please, I would love it, dearest Adelscott, if you would be so kind as to do the second pylon. Yes, indeed. There it is going down, and hopefully we'll end up seeing a second gateway. This is the exact style that I think is so weird, and he manages to pick off the probe. Chill, I'm excited.
Yeah, a really unique style here. He assassinates the probe, then drops that second gateway. First gateway completing, we've got the Zealot coming out. Chrono Boost thus far has been used only on the probe, so that's going to be a fairly slow Zealot coming out there, and we're at 20 supply with no gas for Adelscott. Meanwhile, Mana down at 16 supply, mining gas heartily there. He's got his cybernetics core on the way. Now going to make a Zealot, the more traditional build, get that Zealot after the cybernetics core to deal with any enemy Zealots. Unfortunately, that doesn't work too well against the second gateway of Zealots pumping in your face. Got the third pylon for Adelscott coming down, so he's really committing to this, not even getting a cybernetics core yet. And there is Mana dropping the proxy pylon. Always nice to drop that early on, so it doesn't get caught until later into the match. Got a probe scouting out Adelscott, and a little gangbanging on that probe, gonna run away. And Zealot still don't know where he's going, but hopefully he'll find the right base.
Ladies and gentlemen, steal this build. I mean, really, that needs to become like a staple moment for these sorts of TL Opens. The steal this build moment.
Yeah.
We're seeing the two gateways come out. I mean, this build is so good that I got phlegm in my throat. That's exactly how epic this is, Chill. And we're seeing these two Zealots getting close to finishing right around the time that cybernetics core ends up warping in. It looks like Adelscott not even going... Wow, look at that great timing. Not even going to continue to make probes. Going to just hold on for just a bit. That way he can pop out these two Stalkers. And, this is almost so epic that we forgot that there is another player in the game. Mana is going for the extremely standard 3 Warp Gate play. No, he's getting a 4th Warp Gate right now. So here is going to be the huge question on everybody's mind. Will Adelscott be able to hold off the ever so annoying 4 Warp Gate style that is really plaguing the Korean servers? I mean, everyone really just opens for Warp Gate.
We've got Adelscott who just threw down a Nexus and then canceled it, moving the probe away, and now he looks a little bit unsure of himself, up at 500, 600 minerals, and doing a little bit of dancing back and forth with the Zealots, pulling away the weakened one. Warp Gate's finishing for mana, so he's going to be able to bring in a lot of units. Meanwhile, Warp Gate's not even 50% done. Adelscott now throwing down that expansion. That may be trouble. Moving up the ramp, his Stalker gets sniped, and Mana doing nice, pulling back these Stalkers, but Adelscott going to separate one Zealot to go harass the workers. Mana doing very nice, pulling away the workers. Oh my god! And warping in a Zealot of his own, meanwhile microing the Stalkers. He's doing like 7 things at once. Adelscott getting 3 kills on that Zealot, but Mana has a lot of units. Supply showing 31 apiece as Adelscott has his expansion coming up, putting down 1, 2, 3 more gateways. Warp Gate's not even done for Adelscott. Is he going to be able to live the counterattack? I would think no.
Yeah, I mean, Adelscott, he had the money to be able to deal with this counterattack, but this is the classic issue that's happened to Adelscott in high-pressure situations. He just gets nervous and ends up choking a little bit at the exact worst time possible. Those 5 gateways could have been finished, and it looks like Adelscott giving out the lull as we see a gigantic force advancing in, and it looks like Mana going to be morphing in that pylon up on the low ground. Now all the units popping into Adelscott's main. He's going to need to cancel that Nexus or he's going to have no money whatsoever. There's a target fire on the Cybernetics core. The Nexus is going to end up finishing. Adelscott is in a horrendous situation. He needs to do everything he can. He needs to morph all of those into warp gates. He needs to get some of those probes back on mining. But per usual, Adelscott having a very, very hard time managing under this intense pressure situation.
Yeah, I'm going to bring up the APM tab to take a look at if he's just incapable. Yeah, he's sitting at, well, 200 now, but averaging 90. So I think he just didn't have the actual raw hand speed to deal with that situation. Too much going on for Adelscott as Mana continues to relentlessly reinforce units with this proxy pylon. Adelscott trying to take the pylon out, but forced to call GG as Mana just crushingly moving into the main base and yeah, killing Adelscott. So a really interesting opening there. I feel like he played the opening very well, but transition a little bit lacking. And Mana was really, really on point defending that initial Zealot attack.
Yeah, you know, that's one of those moments where it's not really a strategy moment. It's an execution moment. It's you pulling off what you set forth to do. Adelscott just had so much money. There were 2 or 3 times that you even mentioned, Chill, where it's like, what's all this money doing here? This could be anything and it would be good. It could be a Nexus. It could be more gateways as long as it just gets thrown down. And, you know, from an intense tournament perspective, it feels so right to focus on that battle, to make sure everything's going right there.
Right.
But then, when the battle's ended and Adelscott's done the damage, I mean, 3 probes at that phase is still pretty damn good. But then to come back home and to just not be able to deal with a counterattack, it's one of those things that, I mean, as much as it stings, if Adelscott can just plug that leak, I just still have such confidence in him just becoming an extraordinary, extraordinary Protoss.
Yeah, as you said exactly, late on the gateways, late on turning them into warp gates actually, and the critical mistake when that attack came, had he possibly canceled the Nexus, got a sentry, force field, I mean, we know units would have been warping in at the top of his ramp anyway, but maybe if he pulled probes, had some nice force fields, and then transitioned into the 5 warp gates, possible that he could have held it, but just one little thing, that execution that he needs to plug in his play. So game 1 has been settled. We have mouz.MaNa going up 1-0 in semifinal number 2 of the TeamSpeak TL Open number 12.